The first thing I wanted to do is to maybe inspire you to do something different than just the standard pizza for Super Bowl Sunday. How about a big hungry man's French dip sandwich? It will fill the hungry party that you have invited, and it is so delicious and so tender, everyone will be raving. We are going to take out our roast, drain the amazing juice. So my roast has been on for 12 hours. It's probably fine if it's just 10 hours. It'll probably be fine. At such a low cooking temperature, it'll be fine. So what we want to do is, look at all that yummy, yummy juice that you can use for gravy, for your au jus for hot beef sandwiches. So what I like to do, bring a pan to the sink, and you get some kitchen shears, and you find a corner. To be careful because it's pretty hot. And you make a little clip so the juice will drain into the pan. So that all those little dehydrated onions that was in that Lipton onion soup mix can come out too. You just want to make sure that you get it all into the pan. You can make your juice go even farther by adding Lipton onion soup, or adding some beef bouillon and some water. You can extend it by adding a can of beef broth, because you can use the juice for just about all the meals that we are going to make with this yummy tender roast. So there we have our juice. We want to cool it for at least 30 minutes, so 30 minutes to an hour, and our roast for about 30 minutes to an hour. If you're not going to use it right away, then we'll want to, just let it cool so it's cool enough to put in the fridge to get cold. I like to cool my roast so that I can slice it thinly. That's one of my very favorite ways to slice the roast, is have a really, really good knife and slice it thin, but we need it to be completely cooled off, or else it'll just all fall apart. And what I like to do with my broth, the au jus, is get it cooled and then put it in the fridge, and all the fat will come to the top, and you can scrape off the fat once it's cold and discard that so it's not as fatty. So we'll let that cool and see how it comes out. Alright, so we've just taken our juice and our meat out of the refrigerator, and actually, if you want to see the juice, there's really not that much fat. And grab a spoon and just kind of skim off the top of the fat and just discard the fat. It's actually a pretty lean roast. The rump roast usually are quite lean. Now we've got our roast. And this roast happens to have string tied around it. So you want to make sure that you get that off before you start slicing. You don't want to slice any of it into the roast that you're going to be eating. Now, one of the best tools to have is, we call it in our house, a big honker knife. But this is a really good knife. It's probably worth investing in a good knife. This one, it can get dull, and so another good tool that we like to have is a whetstone, and it's worth investing in one of those. And You can just get your knife a little bit wet and just kind of go back and forth with your knife to get it really sharp. And so I take this sharpened knife, and your roast is nice and cold, and so it should cut fairly nice. And I like, especially for French dip sandwiches, to get it really thin. And that way, kids don't choke on it, you won't choke on it, and it just is so tender and yummy. And you can pile it on for your sandwiches, or if you're just gonna have roast beef dinner, you can just take a few slices of it. It doesn't need to be thick. I'm not into big, thick chunks of roast. I like it nice and thin. And you can just go ahead and cut it. See how nice that turns out? Ooh, it's so pretty. I love it. You can go ahead and slice your whole roast this way, just nice and thin. Okay. So now that we've got most of our roast beef sliced, it's getting to the point where it's, ooh, you don't want to slice your fingers. And just save that piece for a pot pie or your beef stroganoff, and just, you can cut it into bigger chunks and then cube them for pot pie or beef stroganoff or for a beef vegetable soup. That way you're not wasting any of the meat, but utilizing all of the meat, which can make yummy meals besides just French dip sandwiches. So there we go. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. You can do this. Then we can, if you're gonna just be doing French dip sandwiches, put your juice on the stove and get it to boiling and turn it down to simmer, and place your meat directly in the juice and let it simmer for a bit until you're ready to serve it on your fresh buns, whatever you decide. One of my favorites is to get a fresh like hoagie roll or a long baguette French bread, and then you can slice them in like hoagie size rolls and serve the meat on there, and it's delicious. You can make this as semi-homemade or as homemade as you want. You can make your own French bread rolls for your sandwiches, for your French dip sandwiches, or you can purchase the rolls. You can serve it with homemade potato salad, homemade salads, or you can purchase your salads. It goes well with chips and dips. And I will be here every step of the way to help make this a successful Super Bowl party for you.